Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is the 22nd day of February. It is 2026 on the ancient moon calendar. It's 2026 on the ancient sun calendar. It is 5786 on the ancient Hebrew Israel calendar. It is 10,067 on the ancient Yoruba calendar, and it is millions and millions and trillions and trillions and millions and trillions of years on the ancient Moorish calendar. And for that, we are grateful. All rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity and in alignment and according to the ancient Noahide laws as stated by this Holy Congress. This is a sovereign living ancient Article 3 Moorish American Al-Moroccan Universal Court action. We are the divine sovereign living justices and Aqquisitionne Pauline Ritchie, sovereign living justice, and my chosen sovereign appellation is like tajiri Bay. All are in capitis diminutionolo, in red ink, in proprio persona juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. We are capit et corpus juris lex and capit et corpus juris legalis, which is our statement that we are the one and only lawful and legal natural living head and body for our empire. All Moors are the divine, original, indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites, Canaanites, Shemites, Israelites, Cushites, Tartarians, and Hittites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our honor, our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original, indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American. We are also the ancient Moroccan Empire, and we're the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We are ancient Washington District for Columbia. We're the Universal Moorish American Consulate and the Earth by Article 3 Moorish American Consular Court. We are that we the people. We are the law by our sovereign status, which is the original, indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient, Article 3 Living United States District for Columbia Court, and we are the sovereign fiduciaries, original creditors, executors, divine ministers, possessors, grantors, and title trustors for all causes for action. We and our system are the trustees. We are peace. We are one nation, one state, one empire, and we are one God. We hereby recognize ourselves and accept our sovereign divine ascension. We do possess in our custody all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. We, the true living God nation, are peace, peace, peace. We are the mother nation, and we are all eternal, ancient, original sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time. No. At this time, I will to just absolutely honor and thank and send all high praises to this Congress. We have put some processes in place that work so well and so beautifully. And we're going to give our own testament today regarding the processes that we've put in place. Oh, this Congress is so powerful, so powerful. So we have activated yet another one of our resources. They're all activated, but we will to have them at our fingertips so that we can use them. And so we stated, specifically us, this particular domicile and this particular consulate and government, we stated that we would not have any work done at this government office and this personal domicile until the process was put in place for us to do that without contracting with corpses. We will to be always be the head and not the tail. And so we were given the amazing, immense, and imminent opportunity to demonstrate what this Congress put in place as the law for getting things done around here. And at all of our domiciles and everywhere that we are, we have the process that we have in place where we can get things done, and the subjects on our land are in subject status and all of that. So let me show you really quickly how we did that. So here, and we've mentioned this many times before, where there were a lot of things that needed to be done in terms of getting this place fixed up and put together, but we waited years because we were not going to do anything contractually that was outside of what this Congress put in place. So we just waited until this Congress put the process in place, and we said, okay, now we have an opportunity to demonstrate what we do, to do it, to just be ourselves on our own land. So we got in contact with a company. And as you all know, liens, levies, and bonds are all on the public record. Okay. We got in touch with a company, and we sent out emails saying, give us a quote for some work to have done. And in this case, we just willed to have, some cleaning done, and we'll show you what exactly was done. And so the subjects came, and they wanted to talk about a quote, give us a quote. So they came, they brought a document. Let's show you the document. And we've redacted this document because we're not going to put the name of the company out there for our own personal reasons. So they brought this home maintenance budget document, and they started talking about the document and naming some of the things, and asking us, what is it that you will to have done. And we knew right off the bat what was necessary. So it's just so amazing that they absolutely talk in circles about what they're going to do and how the work is guaranteed and this and that and this and that. And the subjects definitely were talking in circles, but you can't talk circles around the heirs. We can hear. And so we asked a couple of questions, and of course we always do a court action. Our court actions are so subtle that no one really knows that that's what's happening. What is your name? Do you understand that these are some of the things that we will to have done? So then they start talking and throwing out, and he was talking so fast and throwing out so many numbers. You can see about, let me see, one, this is a price, that's a price, that's a price, that's a price. These are numbers that they were throwing out, more numbers, just talking super fast. The ancestor said, listen closely to what he's saying so that you know that he is talking in circles on purpose and trying to be confusing. Uh, and the ancestors gave us permission to let him know that, we can hear you. We hear what you're saying. And and I just reminded him of a few things because one minute he would say one thing and then not even 2 or 3 minutes later say the opposite of that. And so every now and then, once or twice, we just, you know, we said, okay, but 2 minutes ago you said this. Oh, that's, I'm sorry. I have, he was making excuses about that. And we don't expect them to be super duper competent. The Prophet Noble Ali stated that he was gonna that the spirit was gonna stop them from thinking, and that if we would just think, we would free ourselves. So after we let him know a couple of times that yeah, we can hear, we remember everything you say. We were just sharp on it, and that was the spirit. We know that we're all like that, you know. And so while he was talking, you know, to my consort, the spirit said, get up and go to your computer and type out what you will. Whatever your will is, type it out. Now, remember, Morris, as I show you what we did, because, oh, we can do this, and we'll take off 100 for this, and then we'll take off 15% for that, and then, oh, we can do this, but we can't do that. And, it was all of that. And so the ancestor said, type out what you will, put an amount on there, and then sign it, and have him to sign it. So remember, Morris, when we did the documents where we said we're the CEOs and all companies belong to us and all of that. So what we did was we put the name, and we've redacted all of that for this particular document, but we put the name of the company here at the top. This is what we typed out, because all of this other stuff up here was just meant to be confusing. I wasn't confused. I knew what was happening, but being given so many different prices and 20% and 10%, and we'll do this free, and repeating things and then adding and taking away. I said, okay, I'm not going to sign his because he could come back and say anything. He could say, well, we told you it was 1364 or whatever. So the ancestor said, okay, type it out, show. So I put the name of the company that because we're the CEOs of all of this. So I put the name of the company up at the top. I put the date. I put where the work is going to be done. It's on the land. It's not at any far out, like 2-letter state or anything of that nature. And then the ancestor said, keep it real simple. Just put what you will to have done. So we put what we will to have done. And then we said, this is how many bank credits, not the green notes. We didn't use any of those. Islam, Empress Minerva. So the ancestor said, put what you will there, and then sign it, put the date for the work, and all of that. What time you will that they come. And mind you, this happened on Friday the 13th. Okay, this is when this was done. And so thank you, Empress. And so we said, of course, all rights perfected, 18 United States Code 1001B. But we also put that we were the owner. And we spelled it this way on purpose. What are we the owner of? We're the owner of the company and this property. And then our consort signed, and then guess who else signed? The subject, agreeing that we're the owner of the company. And we didn't have to say, this means we're the owner of everything that has to do with this document. We just did what the ancestors told us to do and hand him, and we printed out 2 copies, gave them a copy, and we kept a copy. And then what we said was, okay, now that we have his signature on here, what we're going to do is just schedule them to come and then go from there. So we did all of that, and we went strictly on that piece of paper. And you know what he said? The subject said, I'm so glad you did that. Most people don't pay that much attention, but I'm glad you did that because now we know what we're going to do. And so he told us who was going to be coming to do the work, what their names were, and what they were going to do according to what we wrote and what we all signed. So again, that company belongs to us, so they have to do what we say for them to do. So then the day came for them to come and do the work. And like clockwork, they came, they did the work. They did even more. And when I say even more, they did things that weren't even on there. They just saw things that needed to be done, and they did them. We had some mold on the side of the house and things like that because it's very moist here. They cleaned all of that, and that wasn't even in the contract. They were supposed to do the roof only and the gutters. So we did that, and it gave me the opportunity to erudition my interest on how we do things and how, why we do it. And everyone was in agreement. Everyone was in agreement. And for that, we're just so grateful. But it was the right thing to do in order that peace is the outcome. And so then once everything was done, they got one of the subjects on the phone, and some numbers were exchanged, and that's how the payment was done, was with numbers and bank credits. So we didn't have to pull out any of those green bonds with serial numbers on them or anything. And for that, we're so grateful. So one thing I do know is that now that we are all in agreement, I see the changes happening as we continue to be ourselves on our own land. This worked out so beautifully. And then I feel the energy from what we did. So again, we did not sign anything that they put out, even though he had he did a signature and a name. That alone says that he agreed to be subject. And then we just took all of the craziness out of this process and kept it very simple. They did an excellent job. The work was excellent, excellent, excellent. And I know that the ancestors are pleased because of the energy that I felt afterwards and even while going through this process. Very simple process. We just have to be willing to do it. And Now we know how to be the chief executive officers for all of these companies. We know how to do that. We know how to be the owners. We know how to, um, and they gave us. In fact, he gave us not just no pushback, but encouragement to write it up and do those things. Because see, everything else is on the public record about who we are and all of that. So I could have put the label or the logo on the top of the page because I have it. But the ancestor said just keep it simple, write it up simply, autograph it so that everyone is clear about what this is and what's going on, and then move forward. And it worked so well. It worked like a charm. And for this Congress, I'm so grateful because this Congress put this process on the public record and said we're the owners of everything. Everything belongs to us. All we have to do is take charge. And that's what we did. And so what we have now is we have both of these documents, and what we're doing is just putting them in our file and logging them in.
This is Thomas.
Yes, Islam nobility.
I was just checking in. I was on mute.
Okay. Yes. So, are there any questions about this process that this amazing Congress put on the record?
Islam.
Empress Shasha. Islam.
Malembe Zola.
Malembe Zola, Empress.
So I have a question, a couple questions.
Yes.
The bank credits, did you use your legacy account that's been on congressional that you've shared with us and everything else? Did the bank credits go through the legacy account?
They did not. So what happened was, so we did not use our bank credits. He gave them numbers over the phone. So
Okay.
he used, it's the same, by the way, it is the same, it's the same institution as my legacy account. It's the very same one. So we already had a lien, a levy, and a bond on the public records for that. So, and he didn't have to even pull out anything. He just gave them some numbers, the numbers on the card over the phone, and that was it.
So,
and let me say this about that too, Empress Shasha. The ancestors are taking us one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. And as we demonstrate, they open up the avenue or the ways for us to do it the way we stated we were going to do it. So we'll show some things today where it's getting closer and closer to time for us to start using our banking and our bank credits with everything, and it will be acceptable with everything. We weren't quite there yet in our demonstration. Some people might be there already. We were not quite there yet with this particular demonstration because we wanted to get the paperwork right first. It wasn't fiat. It wasn't those green notes. And we had lien, levy, and bond on the public record for what was used.
So yes. So what I'm hearing is that by virtue of our liens, levies, and bonds, and we are the bank, the banking system, and all of those. So everything comes under the energy and frequency of all the processes that we put in place. So the structure is lawful, gold-backed, and everything else as we transition. So
as we transition.
So the other piece, and you've stated it, I'm picturing at the same time that you're sharing all of these things, the lien, the levy, and bond. So there's a record that now stands for that company that you are CEO of, we are all CEO of.
Yes.
And so yes, I'm looking at it and I'm seeing that, and that was just the one piece was where we had you reached that point with the tying in the legacy, and even though
that's the next step,
right? Because in my mind, it is already there.
It's already done.
But there's the process part. That node has to now be knotted together in the web. That's what I'm seeing. But I wanted to have.
You know, Empress Shasha, what I love what you're saying, because the ancestors will that we just take the step and do what we know to do. Do it at the level of our understanding. And then they will open the next door. And we stated that the whole time because we see that's how things are unfolding.
Yeah.
Is if I had not agreed to contract properly, then that door, it wouldn't open.
That's it. And it's there's the saying, God helps those whom help themselves. And here we are. I yield. Thank you.
We have to take it one step at a time and just do what we know to do. That's what this Congress has stated the whole time. We've been saying that to each other the whole time. Yes. Always demonstrate at the level of your understanding, and then keep watching, keep looking as things happen, keep watching, and then prepare to make the next step. See, we had to prepare the bank accounts first, so that by the time we got here, we would be prepared to take that next step.
And you'd also
know the target.
You'd also know. I mean, I just see we're actually bringing things into being. We cannot do that without doing, and so that's it's clear. It's clear, and
that's the key.
The key, and that you just I'm just going to add this piece in because you stated the word key, and I have a note here. Key, K-E-Y. Key, Q-U-I, as in who, en français. And key, Q-U-A-Y, which is the structure that ties the water to the land.
Yes.
And so the key there are three parts of it. We have to have the authority, the key, the who. Then, our word, our pen, our action, our movement is the physical key.
That's the power.
Right. And then the key from the waters to the land is the road. And so I just wanted to add that because of your statement there. But I yield. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Empress Shasha, because you bring so much clarity and vision to what we're stating. We have to move. We have to do the movement. We have to move forward. And we're protected when we do it the way that it's supposed to be done, step by step. See, some people are waiting for some big, giant event to happen before they take their first step. They'll never take their first step if they don't just do it in their everyday lives.
It's true.
If the big things have already happened, to be clear, liens, levies, bonds, we came in with both feet flat, moving forward. Lien, levy, bond, court actions, the whole nine. Now it's moving forward and putting that in action in everything, all that we do.
Yes.
And then allowing the ancestors and the system to just give us the access. Access comes by way of what we do.
Yes.
That's how access manifests.
We are the access. I mean, we're the energy, we're the force, and if we don't do, we will not know. You know, there's
Thank you.
knowledge without action is, you know, fodder, filler. We
Yeah.
have to move it. So, and that's
Just do what we know to do.
what we know. Exactly. I mean, you know, 5 years ago, didn't know any of this, but we were doing. So we now know. So do the know.
Yeah.
Now we know. So we do different. We do better. And so.
Yeah. We had to go from the top down first, and it actually started with us from nationality, but then lien, levy, and bond, everything moving, everything. And then everything shut down. And then as things are opening back up, we do it this way now because we've turned the page on that old stuff. This is the new page. This is a new book.
New epoch.
So we're doing things the new way.
The new way. It is the new way. Yeah.
Yeah. And being the head and not the tail.
Correct.
And you know what? They were they were willing to do whatever it is. They're so hungry out there. I'll say that they're so hungry out there.
And they know that it is the way. It's the only way. It's the right way. And so.
That'll keep us from fighting with subjects. We don't have to fight with subjects when we do this. I didn't have to fight with him about how, you know, oh, we told you it was going to be 1,364, la, 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 la. Didn't have to do any of that. And everyone felt peace once this was done this way.
Yeah.
Because we don't have to fight with them about all of that stuff. And of course we did it in our favor, you know.
Of course.
Of course. You know, we should.
Islam.
Hello.
Islam justice.
Can I do a quote?
Sure.
I will leave the European in charge long enough for you to learn how to run government. The economy will collapse, and when it returns, it will be in the hands of the Asiatic.
Yes.
Noble duality.
Oh, and by the way, Morris, guess what's not on here?
Tax.
There it is.
There
I didn't put any on there. And guess what? We didn't pay him. A servant is worthy of his hire. But we're not gonna write that stuff in. The system is our system. We don't have to write that stuff in. Fees and all this and that. No. We don't have to do that. And they had this place. It's like a whole new place. Now we know how to move forward and get a few more things done because we still have other things that have to be done. But we just said, let's do this way first. Let's do it like this. You know. And for
Islam,
those,
one last thing.
yes.
Nationalization, is this a part of that same process?
It absolutely is, 100%, because we're the owners for all companies.
So is there a crew that does the retirement? Because I'd like to work on that crew. You know, the retirement of the CEO and the CFO. In fact, I'd like to teach that in class.
They were never really the CEOs, but remember the videos where we typed up and we nationalized the letterhead? Yes. Justice Cronus. That's it. That's what we did.
Okay. All right. That's because I am the town crier for around here. I figured that out. I didn't realize that's what I was doing. Okay, so there's an announcement I'm going to make, and it's lengthy because because of things in my life I've been occupied, let's just say, but I've had a lot of time to write and stuff. the several declarations, the announcement of the tribal nations, the collapse of the old so-called government, the rescinding of the charters of the corporations, and the dollarium being real money already established, blah, 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 blah. I'm making announcements of that, and I'm performing again, too. So I just wanted to check in with that. I also wanted to tell you that, like, over the last week, so many downloads about what to do. I mean, I'm doing things I don't know how to. I have a really strong connection with the Creator, but I'm doing things I didn't know I could do. This is amazing. So you will see in here, and I'm going to request later if I could maybe once a week or once a month. I'm going to bring you some of my material, my art. I'll submit it to you first. You guys, I'll keep it short, but like maybe every time we do a broadcast, I'll put something relevant there. Anyway, if I'm approved for that. And also, I want to thank everybody here for being real.
Will do the approving.
I have to give it to you. I have to ask first. So, and as I said, I want to thank each one of you for being authentic, for being real, because what I have noticed out of all of this is that the money is fake, the food's fake, everything's fake. The only real currency is authenticity.
Yes.
That's the only real currency, is you being real. Be yourself and tell the truth is the only demand from the carbon plan. That's us. Anyway, Islam nobles, and thank you for letting me be part of us changing the world. Starseed, light worker, Wayshore.
Islam. This is the Great Reset. Also, that's what this is too. It's everything is in our favor. We just have to do it. Just do it. And you know what? Let me just say this to the empresses even specifically, but to all. When we do the right thing, the ancestors will work on those around us so that they're in agreement with what we're doing. Because see, if it's one thing that, a lot of times people who sometimes go, kind of complain about us doing more science, which is really the law. It's not even, it's the law. And people who complain about that is because they, in their minds, they don't see any, they weren't seeing any results. But this right here, it would have been double this amount if I hadn't said anything. So if it's one thing that my consort agrees with, it's a good, negotiation and it wasn't even a negotiation. I just put that amount on there and said, here, sign this, But we were, we listened to what they were saying. We were not rude or anything like that. We just stood. We just knew that we were going to stand and be ourselves. And it worked out so well for us. Oh, wow. And so empresses, if you have someone who's not necessarily agreeable, and emperors, if you have someone who's not agreeing with this portion, with the things they've seen previously, because my consort was here when I was doing POW demonstrations and things too, and he was like, maybe she jumped into that too fast. I don't know, but we just stood, and now it's working in our favor 1 billion%, really, but we just have to stand and keep standing. We were not going to fold just because people didn't necessarily agree. Because, we knew that the ancestors were going to vindicate us in their eyes, in the eyes of those who may have doubted. But things are opening up and opening up and opening up. Now, I will too, and again, I just want to thank this Congress for the process. You agreed to the process. We all agreed on it. We voted on it. We said we were going to take control of the resources. Done. Done. On the same note, really, with regard to being the head and not the tail, and making sure that we are ourselves at all times, because we've been through a lot of different tests. This is some information here from the Postal Service manual that we will to show you. And again, this is still on the same topic of being ourselves. And you know, when we sign for things and do things, you know, when we're receiving parcels and things, because we're talking about that trust. As you all know, over the past 8-9 years, we've been receiving and sending and receiving and sending and using and being ourselves, you know, the whole time, using our post office processes that we, the Postmasters General, put in place. And I will say we, the Postmasters, because Postmaster General, we can be Postmasters General also, general being an adjective and not a noun. Because as a noun, a general is a military term. We could also be that, but be peacekeepers as well. So, but back on to the matter. We've been, when packages and when parcels come here, we always autograph and put all rights perfected, and you know, we put our statements with our autograph, because that's how we do things. We don't just sign it and let them take the signature and go with it, because that's just not how we do things. We always classify our autograph. And now we see why that was important. As we looked at, you know, we were just looking through, again, looking at travel things that have to do with travel. We came in connection with this information right here about how to receive parcels. And we saw these things here that we will to discuss briefly. So this is talking about who can receive parcels. Okay. Where minors are concerned, it says a minor's guardian may control delivery of mail addressed to the minor. If there is no guardian and the minor is unmarried, either parent may receive delivery of the minor's mail. And then this is the part that we will for you to see, because we've been talking about the all caps as issued by others and corpses, which is not aligned with who we are. Incompetent person. Mail may be delivered under the order of the guardian or conservator for a person legally declared incompetent. If there is no legal representative, the mail is delivered as addressed. What this is saying is that, actually, I'd love to hear your interpretation of this, where it says incompetent person. Islam. What are they saying here? Islam nobility.
Ooh, you opening up a can of worms here.
I know.
Oh my goodness, because this is like we are truly aligned, because this is right along the lines of what we are eruditing ourselves over here on this side, incompetent persons. And because we've been you know, it says right here in this line, if there is no legal representative,
that's it.
We know nobody represents the Moors. Anyone that needs a representative is automatically, that's what this is saying, is an incompetent person.
Yes.
And I'll leave it there. I'll talk a lot, so I'm gonna let everybody else get involved with this. It's long.
When I saw this and I thought about all of the quote unquote mail that's flying, that was going back and forth in the previous era, when we were previously accepting mail in all capital letters and black ink and not rebutting it on the public record and all of that, we were automatically agreeing to be an incompetent person. That just means that those that were previously working as quote unquote postmen and mail carrier and all of that, they were just delivering mail and delivering mail and delivering mail, and every time they were automatically getting people to agree to be incompetent minors and dead people, dead persons rather. That means they give the mail to whoever is there, and whoever is there is considered an incompetent person. And guess what? Legally declared incompetent. So if you're accepting those things and not rebutting it on the public record at least, then you're declaring yourself legally incompetent. This is going to be important, and it is important even as we are using our government mailing process. With our government mailing process, that process is done by competent people. It's done by competent people. And we send things out there to be delivered and to be received and accepted. And again, whatever we send, when it's not sent back, that means that it stands and is the law. It stands and is the law. So whenever we autograph anything, no matter what it is, we have a whole statement. Here's that same statement, right here. All rights perfected, 18 United States Code 1001B. There's the statement. We're not incompetent, we're not minors, we're not dead. We're not. So if anyone wills to know about why the all caps and why are we putting that kind of, emphasis on not letting anyone outside of our authority, and that's not the right term because everyone is under our authority, not letting foreign courts attempt to address us, this is why. When someone receives a summons or a warrant or a bill in the mail, who's really receiving that? Is there something on the public record that properly addresses everyone? Where we are, allocation and appropriation, that means location and person. Islam. So, now we just spoke about the fiat and the bank credits going back and forth. We will to have you to just, when you have some time, there's an 18-minute video. It's a movie, a short movie that you watch, so that you can see just how easily. I just put the link. It says Free Fall, 18-minute short movie. That's the name of the movie. It's Free Fall, and it's about how in the enactment on September 11th, 2001, when they were enacting the World Trade Center towers being crashed by airplanes and things like that. It's a movie about what happened in the background of the stock market, and you're going to see the absolute dichotomy of that whole day. In that even on that day, some persons made a whole lot of fiat, quote unquote, on that day. Because of what happened, they got so debt wealthy, if I may use that term, that it was just unbelievable. Some persons profited that day because of that. And you're going to see the dichotomy of that in this 18 minutes. But that's not the only reason why I will that you watch the movie. I just will that you see how easy it is for us to put 50 million or 100 million onto something. In the movie, and I won't spoil it because the end is definitely I won't tell you what happened in the end of the movie. But around minute 12 or 13 in the movie, around minute 12, around minute 12, the subjects and actors in the movie who, before that day, they would be dealing in $100,000 a day, $100,000 a day in trades on Wall Street, quote unquote, trades on Wall Street. And some of us would think, wow, $100,000 a day in resources, that's a lot. It was nothing compared to what they did on that day. On that day, they had probably about 20 workers in that office enactment. And each and every one of those 20 workers on that day, on September 11th in the enactment, went from trading around $100,000 a day. Each one of them was given 50 million in resources to trade that day because of what was happening that day. $50 million for each one of them, and they released those resources so quickly. It was just like that. When I saw how quickly they were able to release those resources, and those guys it's almost like they just threw it on the gambling table knowing they were going to win. That's what they were thinking, that they were going to win, with that each one of them getting 50 million. It was so simple and so easy that it just had me really thinking about what we're actually doing and what's really happening with our banking system and everything. We're so wealthy, it's just, and all we have to do is keep doing what we're doing. When you see how easy they just said, okay, not 100,000 for each one of y'all, 50 million for each one of you. Now go and prosper with that. And this in the enactment on 9/11, while everybody else was glued to the TV watching the enactment, these guys were like, we're gonna make the best of this. While it's happening and while no one is looking, we're going to make this killing. And they did. They did. It just made me wonder, where was where were those resources sitting, waiting for them to use them? Because he released them so easily. He said, go ahead and do it. And they just all went with 50 million and started doing things. It just let me know how easy, when we all agree and we're all on the same page like we are, everyone will accept what we do. Everyone. No one will argue. That also became clear to me with the contract, and I won't call it a contract, I'll call it an affidavit, the agreement that was all signed. Very simple, very easy. So with that being stated, are there any questions, comments, wisdom?
Islam.
Islam, Empress.
Gold is good for everyone. Islam.
When you see what the part gold and silver played in the movie and what they did with it on that day, Empress, and I thought about you too as I was watching the movie for the second time. I watched it a couple of times because I thought, this is magnificent information right here. What they did was they just shorted the market because they knew that it was going to crash. Just like our grand chief, he's been the prophet for this nation, and he's always right about those things. When it crashed, they shorted the market, but they went up on gold and silver. They put more into gold and silver because that was the safe hedge. That was the safe place to put things that you weren't going to short. All natural resources, gold, silver, and oil. Which means that as that enactment of a stock market goes down, gold, silver, and oil is always going up. Natural resources are always going to go up. Everyone knows that thing is the opposite of what's real. It was just, the movie was just, it was interesting. The end is it might mess with one or two of you, but it didn't mess with us because we know what we're seeing. We know what we're seeing. So that is
Islam. Gratitude and
Islam. Empress Unniversalle, if we were to, and we really already have it, our spreadsheets, our Google spreadsheets that are our bank accounts, that are our records, when I had a cell phone, I could pull Google up and it was almost like it went into app mode. And I could look at my bank account and then I could take screenshots and send it or I remember specifically sending one of the empresses $5,000 in one of because she asked for $5,000 from our accounts because she wanted to see how the money would move from my account to hers. So I sent it to her and she received it. and recorded it in her account. So our ability to move, 50 million, 100 million, whatever it is, whatever the case may be, is simple and it's doable easily, very easily. So from the previous Congress, we spoke about extending and expanding our use of the Post Office Trust Fund. So we did some research, and that's how we came across came to some of the other information that we just recently showed you. Did anyone do? Unniversalle, I did receive your email, by the way, with the document about postmasters and how they travel. It didn't really say anything different or sure about how that happens. Did anyone come up with any research that you will to share about expanding and extending our use of the Post Office Trust Fund? Or a process by which we can travel using it? Islam.
So if I may share some thoughts that I and Rose Tal had when we spoke about it as, what the conveyance would look like for us. So, I was saying to her that, when we send out a package, we're here in Canaan land, it's picked up by Canada Post and then delivered to the sorting facility that is our, most closest sorting facility, and then all the processing at the sorting facility would go on, and then it would be sent from that point to, probably a plane, because we're in North America, a plane, for it to be delivered to, the closest point where it's to be delivered, its destination, and it would go through another sorting facility kind of process again before it would be delivered to. And I was saying to her that our affidavits would remove the sorting process, right? So our affidavits would go before us, and then it would be picked up, taken directly to the plane, because they had everything beforehand, and then when it landed again, it would skip that sorting process and go and be delivered. So that's what we were speaking about what our affidavits would do for the process, and that when it looked on the timeline, just based on some of the research notes that was presented last Congress, it was a 21-day notice. So basically, you basically had about a month before you travel, right? So that was, just in our discussion talking about how it would work, in that sense.
Empress, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. I'm listening. I just want you to know that the ancestors gave us the very same answer. Simplified. Okay. All travel is done with postmaster approval, a public approval affidavit from the court.
Yes, ma'am.
Simple.
Right. And then one other thought that was connecting for me was about the post office. So I was doing some research about the loan process. I've only taken out one loan in my time. It was a student loan. And I need to go to the post office to get it stamped. And that stamping of that document is what activated, certified it. So just to get a sense of what our postmaster stamp of approval will mean on these affidavits. So that was just the other thought as it came forward. And those are my two thoughts. I did find some research as well, some links they weren't directly related to postmaster travel, but they were this strong. I was researching general service administration, which is, and so through that, there's a lot of information about per diems and travel, and so that will be resources we will probably use as time goes on, but not specific to the postmaster process of travel. So I yield as well.
Thank you so much for that, Empress Unniversalle, because, of course, you know, the Spirit was speaking to us the same thing at the same time. As I was going through my study, I did see some things directly related to postmaster travel, but it didn't say anything specific. That, you know, to me, that said we have to put it in by affidavit. We have to notify by affidavit that this is what's happening. The same way we do by court action for everything is notified by that. And as far as the exchange is concerned, the ancestors have given us a way to do that also. So, Moors, keep your spreadsheets active and keep them current. Keep them active and current. And when I say current, we can't possibly get all of the affidavits that we've ever done on the spreadsheets at one time. That's just going to be ongoing. But I'm talking as far as, you know, travel or any agreements that you make where the subjects are doing work and things of that nature, all of that stuff, keep it on a current spreadsheet so that you at least have the documents right there before you, or in a file somewhere where you can reach it, you know, and get to it if you will, to audit your own record. Even Empress Shasha, the book that you sent that was tributed last, the most recent Congress, I think we all got a copy of that book about Postmaster General travel. It didn't really say anything from what I read. It didn't give a process. It gave it gave some information, but not a real process. So to us, the process is by affidavit. And what I would say is that we assign our affidavits a number based on, like we stated before, the green return receipts. I would say that with our affidavits, we should have one of these with our affidavits so that the number of our movement, you know, is numbered according to the system. Because even when you look on boarding passes and things, they all have a number also. And so our movement according to that number is a good idea in terms of record keeping. So, are there any other questions, comments, wisdom about the travel process? Let's get our itineraries for travel done the way that we stated we would do it, where you go online and you go to any of those airline websites or, you know, whatever it is, however you book your travel, go there, put in the day that you're leaving, the day that you're returning, you know, and all of that, and you can do all of that without putting in any card numbers or anything or using any fiat. You can get a whole setup of when you're leaving, what the flight number is, and all of that. When you're coming back, what that flight number is, what the airline is, and all of that. You can get all of that without putting in a card number. All you have to do is go and look at travel booking sites and put in the day. And then once you get all of that and you get the itinerary together and you get it printed out, then you want to put one of these with it as well. And then we'll go from there. But it's just like anything else. It's just like anything else. We have to get that part done so that the door will open for the next part of it, which is and I see it already. I see how to do it, which is to do the exchange for it. Justice Ogunwale.
You said one of these. Are you showing something on the screen?
Oh, the certified return receipt, the green. In fact, yes, I was. Thank you, Nobility.
Okay.
Let me stop the screen sharing here so that you can see one of these green. Can you see this, Justice Ogunwale? Yes. One of the green. Yes. Yeah. Let's include one of these and the number in our travel, and just right now, that's what I'm seeing as the method, because I'm really trying to. I will that it be simple. It doesn't need to be super complicated with a whole stack of papers. Okay. You know, let's start there with Islam no business.
I didn't understand that we had to get itinerary because I didn't know how it worked. I never traveled before.
Okay, well let me just show you really.
What I did was is put the information in there, and I seen what the price would be, and I wrote that down. And I did the same thing with the transportation once I get to where I'm going, and the hotel, and I leaned everybody. I leaned both airlines. I leaned hotel. I leaned some food places, to order food, even though we're gonna have food. And so it's hotel, transportation, and then the airlines. I leaned everybody, and I put it on the public record.
That's how we do it. And then I'm showing on the screen how you can just go, and this is for those who may not know how to book the travel, or who may not have booked travel. I just put in where I'm coming from, where I'm going. It is going to be round trip. Let's see. Let me share my screen so you can see what we're doing.
And you did say we could do it for so many days before our event and so many days after, correct?
Yes, extended, if you will, Nobility, because we can be meeting at those times too, or doing some sightseeing and some planning and some site surveys around that time as well. So
have we come up with an exact date?
We're thinking the first at the very beginning of August, so from the 2nd of August through maybe the 5th or 6th of August.
Okay.
The 2nd, because the 2nd is a Monday. I think it's either a Sunday or a Monday.
Okay.
Let's see, March, April, May.
I even leaned some homes just in case I won't stay.
That would be awesome, Justice Ogunwale.
Yes.
That would be awesome. The 2nd is a Sunday. So, and the 1st is a Saturday. So we could, everyone come in on Saturday, unless you want to come earlier, but come in on Saturday, and we'll start everything on Sunday, and we'll go Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. We'll meet those 3 days, and then everyone can depart on or travel on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, depending. But what we're doing is showing. I just went to Google and put in airline from Seattle to Atlanta, and some things came up. Some airlines, of course, Alaska, Priceline, just and then even a one that has all the airlines. So like here, this the prices for each one of these different airlines.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can click show flights, and it'll show the flights and you know, when, how long it's going to take, the day that they're leaving, and all of that, and then other departing flights as well. So you can just Google it, and then pick a flight, and then look at it and record all of the information about that flight. That way you have an itinerary for where, you know, coming and going. Okay. So you can just Google the flight plan, and then, you know, put it in an affidavit. And then when you put it in an affidavit, add one of the green return receipts to, just clip that to it, so that your travel also has a post office number as well. And then we'll let the Spirit lead us on going from there, and how to craft the affidavit, because we're going to craft the travel affidavit, just like myself and Empress Unniversalle came. That was what the Spirit spoke to both of us this previous week, without telling each other, that we will craft a travel affidavit that's going to be accepted by the airline. So
yes, that's basically what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Justice Ogunwale, you hear from the Spirit too, just like we do.
Ooh, we. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's take that step and let the ancestors continue to open the doors and give us access. So let's try and have that done for each and every one in the next week, or the next 7 days, to just pull up an itinerary and have that itinerary ready to put into an affidavit, and we'll just all do it together. We'll determine what should be in the affidavit. So if you would give that some thought this week, what should be in our travel affidavit that we're going to present to each one of them along the way. That's also going to make it that when we write up the affidavit, that we put in it no tax and all of that stuff, and the identification that we are using and all of that. So with our affidavit, maybe a copy of our identification, our national ID, would be of use as well.
Islam, and do the same thing with the hotels as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. And we're gonna put that in the same affidavit.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. I used to work at the Marriott when I was around 18 or 19 years old, so that was just a few years ago. And people would come in with documents and itineraries and things. The only thing is they did have to have a card number. And the ones that didn't have a card number, oh, that's right. The ones that were traveling on, you know, that didn't have a card number would have a complimentary number. So their room would be complimentary. So let's do this part, and then let the ancestors do the rest. I know they will. As we continue to walk through this process, it's going to be honored. I know that already.
Islam, how does the complimentary work?
You get a complimentary reservation. So your reservation is listed as a complimentary reservation. And most complimentary reservations were to where they, even though they didn't have to pay for the room, they had to pay tax. But because we're not taxed, it's going to be complimentary all the way around. So it'll be like it's coming from the Hilton home office or the, Marriott home office. That's what the affidavits are going to look like for hotels. So I guess the answer to the question previously that you asked is that it'll be a separate affidavit, because it will be like it's coming from home office, because it is coming from home office. We're the home office. There was previously corporate office and then home office, but now it's home office is where our travel is coming from. And Islam.
Pardon. My question was about limousines. One is limousine service to pick us up and drop us off, but also when we're present in Seattle, how we're getting around is, I guess, one question I have. As we explore, the city and enjoy ourselves. So that was the question I have. And how do we? I'm not sure how to write that up, because it's not I don't know how many rides specifically. You get what I'm saying? So how do we do something that has a variable nature to it?
So the way that I was getting around here, when I didn't have the transportation that I have now, I literally have a driver now. But before that, and even still now, if I will to just go and get around here, it has always been for us as a demonstration, and we've shown it, public transportation for us, which is actually really kind of nice here. And they just finished putting in light rail about 1.5 miles from here. It's already ready and running. So, and it goes straight from the airport to here. Straight from the airport to here.
Islam.
Brand new. Our ancestors know what they're doing, I'm telling you. They know what they're doing with us, with everything that has to do with us.
Islam, what is that called? You said rail, what?
Light rail.
Light rail.
That's what they call it.
Okay.
Yeah. And it just started running. They put it in brand new, and it just started running about a month ago.
Islam,
Empress.
hang on, I've got echo, hold on. The light rail, when I domiciled in Portland, Oregon, light rail they had a light rail system straight from the airport downtown, and they had, and I mean, I'm listening, and I'm actually surprised that it's just gone in Seattle.
They had it going into Seattle, but not in Federal Way.
Oh, that's right, your Federal Way, right.
Which is, Federal Way is halfway between Seattle and Tacoma, and they call them the Twin Cities.
Yeah. So I can picture that. It's a fabulous system that does not exist here as yet. But I wanted to ask a question with regard to each of our itineraries and putting all of that together and the affidavit. Are we looking at everything being billed from say the host location or a territory, or are we looking at billing individually territorially? I mean, is that why we're looking at putting it all together and then it would all come from the one government trust, as you were saying? And so
it's prepaid by the trust. It's prepaid by the trust. But the way to record that is going to be the key to getting it done. The way it's recorded.
recording. Thank you for that correction, because that's exactly what in my mind, because I was looking at the various different ways that travel has been done in the enactment and those types of things, and which entities things went through and processes and those. Of course, we're all of them. And if we're going to be using the mail more so, that's going to change. We are creating something. We're creating something from scratch.
We are. And you know what I'm seeing, Empress Shasha, is that as we create it and then go ahead and use it, that the door opens.
Yeah. I with the whole mailing thing, I did do a little research on the mailing of people when they were mailing babies and children.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And distances from 1 mile to even 700 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing was, the parents bought a stamp, attached the stamp. The stamp was attached to the child's coat.
Mm-hmm.
And then the child was carried along with, under the supervision of the
mail carrier.
Of the mail carrier, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And from door to door, literally from door to door. And supposedly there was an enactment of it being banned because people, there weren't specific, nothing was written. There was no law as to what could and couldn't go necessarily, and so people, of course, were testing things out. Yeah. But you realize there is no law. Apparently there was an enactment of it being banned, but that's not so. And we wouldn't need a company, of course, because we're the postmaster. But so anyway, I was doing that much and looking at those pieces. That's rail, conveyance, or car, automobile, rail, air, ship if necessary.
Rail is an option. Yes.
Every single type of carrier, because the mail travels.
Mm-hmm.
All of them.
The post office does have railway delivery.
Yep. Yeah, and air mail, of course, we know that.
And air mail.
Yeah, so
they call it land mail parcels, air mail parcels, and land mail parcels.
So that, and we, as you stated, we are part and parcel. So
yes,
that, which is buy sell. Anyway, just wanted to share that, and I just thought it was very interesting, the use of people to transport their special packages. It was called special delivery.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was special delivery. It was also general delivery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which we general right there. Yeah. Well, we will make it work. I mean, it will work. There's not a.
Well, here's the thing, Empress Shasha. There's nothing that says it won't work.
Well, that's it. I mean, there's nothing saying it won't work. There's nothing saying it cannot work. There's nothing saying it cannot be done. It is for us. We are the only ones who could actually get in the way, and we are not going to, because we are making it happen. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The key is there are some keys in the link that I posted where we were looking at delivery and acceptance of delivery and things of that nature here.
Okay. And
There are
the
some
other
keys in that information.
okay. Also, I did have a dig around, very brief, but a dig around in the GSA, the government travel.
Yeah, general services.
General services. Yes, thank you. And how things went in there, and they have the smart pay, which really and truly I looked at that as our national identification card, as you stated, was the K card. And so I did have a little dig around in there. Again, I think the way we are looking at doing things, much of that might be superfluous, but still, I'll dig a little more. And
what do you mean by superfluous?
Well, it seemed there were many steps as far as approvals, and which of course we're the approval. And I did a very brief dig around in there, but it seemed just like when I looked into the travel, say for instance at this territory in the enactment, there were many steps, approvals and different entities, which I looked at that and said, well, we are the approval, we're the authority, so some of those steps wouldn't be necessary because we could combine.
Well, Empress, I have it on the screen right here, right now. This is something the ancestors spoke to us yesterday, and as we were looking through all of this, the word that's on the screen is simplify.
Well,
it says, all travel is done with postmaster approval. A public approval affidavit from the court is what postmaster approval looks like. So we're just going to keep it minimal to the approval affidavit.
And that, that's you have on the screen what I was thinking when I was digging around briefly in these places, that all of the, there were many steps. Well, here it is, one step, and you are correct. The postmaster does approve all of it. Even in the enactments, that really is the fact. So, yes.
Yeah. Let's keep it simple.
I
and the less amount of words used in the affidavit, the better from our perspective. We're seeing that keeping things simple with the subject is the best way the quickest way to get things done.
I agree there, and in fact, that's something I've even been thinking in looking back on affidavits from my past, and looking at where things are now, and I lost a lot of things with electronic things, but whatever. And in my mind, where I'm redoing or having to, maybe not even redo, but begin again in some places. But in my mind, the thing that is really the word again, simplify. How can I, not even a question. I will make it much shorter, much more succinct, because, and that's really because 5 years ago, I did not have the knowledge I have now. And so now that's what I realized, with the knowledge that I have now, it is much simpler.
Yeah, just keep it simple.
It is much simpler.
Empress Shasha, if you could see the contract, and I can't call it a contract, it's the affidavit that I did to have this work done. It's just so simple. It's so simple, and everyone in the process appreciated the simplicity. It's a one-page, simple situation.
You know what it made me think of? A lot of documents in my research in the enactment, a lot of documents, for instance, digging around in the UK.gov or the company's office in the enactment, a lot of the documents, and they're all black and, debt documents, were very, very basic. I mean, basic. And that really jumped out at me that in the enactment, they were enacting a whole heap of successes in inverted commas with these very basic.
Very simple. There's nothing to rebut when it's simple like that.
I realize that where we are now, or where I am, let me speak of myself, we're no longer rebutting. Well, we're rebutting, but we've done the rebutting. We are really standing and
saying. Manifesting. We're manifesting what we're
manifesting. Exactly. And so that's simple now.
Yeah.
At least where we are. So anyway, I yield.
Yeah.
Islam.
Hold on, Wally.
So since we're moving as the postmaster, I can put that language in the affidavit and do one for the flight, do one for hotel, and do one for rental car, and have 3 different affidavits to present.
Islam.
Islam.
And just keep them as simple as possible. The court action language, and then straight to the matter.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that is all that we have for this particular Congress.
Islam. One other question. So the green card, the return receipt card that we're going to, that number that we're going to use on our affidavit, is that the travel requisition number, or is that, what is that number? The itinerary number? Is it, because we're going to have a flight number, we're going to have a, hotel number.
This is the approval number.
Approval number, okay.
And then you also put in first class, postage and fees paid, and then permit number G10 or government 10.
Okay, which is on the card itself.
Which is on the card.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Islam. One last bit of information. We're looking at the continuation of the transition, because while we're transitioning, other things are transitioning and happening also. And one of the things that we're seeing in the enactment is that a lot of persons out there are being evicted from their jobs, quote unquote, and charged with abandonment due to social media and other reasons. So things that they place on social media, everyone, for some reason, a lot of those out there, particularly the younger generation, quote unquote, has found, reason to go live at work, quote unquote. And when they go live at work, go onto the internet and start talking about their jobs or whatever the case may be, they're being told, this is what they're being told. They're being told not to come to work anymore. And then after a week or so, they're fired, quote unquote. What that is after the 3 days that they don't show up for work, they're charged with abandonment and then let go. We're the remedy for that also. But I just will to point that out because I find that it's a similar tactic that was used in the previous era for evictions and things like that. And it's happening in high numbers in the enactment for those that were still hanging on to jobs and all of that. I just found that interesting. With that being stated, I have nothing further today at this time for this platform. We will adjourn. Empress Unniversalle, did you still will to meet today, or are you set with the information that you have thus far?
Empress, if you have a time, I would love to. That'd be wonderful.
Sure. Okay. Let's do that. With that being stated, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs, Islam.
Peace and grand rising.
Islam.
Peace and love.
Peace and grand rising. Islam, peace and grand rising. Thank
Islam,
you, everyone.
Peace and love to the Moors.
Thank you, nobility, Islam.
Peace and grand rising.
Islam. Oh, by the way, for those that are still here, we will be presenting operator's license, not driver's license. That's going to be the card for our system, is an operator's license, not a driver's license. But we talked about that previously. We'll talk about it some more in the coming Congress. Islam.
Islam, grand rising to the Moors. Islam.
Islam.
Empress.
Islam, Justice Council.